Back when I was about 10 or 15 years old, as a young asthmatic, I probably would have appreciated being told that all the sugar I was eating was possibly the main cause of my condition. On the one hand, I was on a couple of medications I know I would have loved to have done without, especially the Intel powder that always got stuck in my mouth. That was gross. But on the other hand, I was loving pouring a heap of sugar on many of the foods I ate. I was already a serious sugar addict. Anyway, it's hard to tell, but it would have been nice to know, so I could have had the option to act on the information if I'd felt so inclined. Notice I just said the sugar I was eating was mostly the main cause of my condition. I'll explain why I'm tempted to claim cause later in the video, and I'll mention studies that indicate a higher asthma risk from consuming a drink that many would think of as a healthy option, plus some dirt on energy drinks as well. Okay, let's get started. This 2022 study demonstrated associations between higher consumption of starch and sucrose and greater asthma prevalence in female and male humans. Those in the study who'd reported high intake of sugary foods, sugary drinks, starchy vegetables and refined grains displayed much higher markers of the inflammation indicative of asthma. And also importantly, the associations observed appeared to be independent of various levels of fat consumption, meaning the link was considered to be attached to the sugars and starches, not to fat intake. The second study, published in the journal Nutrients in 2019, shows the link with soft drinks, which of course contain a truckload of sugar, with the study population being adults in Qatar. The results show a clear dose-response relationship between soft drink consumption and asthma. The more they drank, the worse their asthma was. The higher soft drink consumers, who had soft drinks 7 or more times per week, were 2.6 times more likely to have asthma as compared to non-consumers. This Colombian study, published in the Journal of Asthma in 2023, showed that carbohydrate-rich food intake is associated with the severity of asthma exacerbation in 2 to 6-year-olds, with an average age of 3.8 years. Carbohydrate-rich in this instance meant bread, pastries, sugar-sweetened beverages, sweetened infusions, pasta, rice and potatoes. Shown in this graph, the fourth quartile, or in other words, the 25% of the subject group who consumed the highest volume of high carbohydrate foods had the highest odds ratio, or the highest likelihood to experience asthma and for the severity to be worse. Interestingly, the research team found a reverse correlation between high protein diets and asthma severity. Those in this quartile, who had the highest intake of protein-rich foods like red meat, poultry and fish, also had the lowest instances of asthma and also the lowest severity. So let's continue our tour of asthma research around the globe. Let's visit South Africa, where this study found an association between eating fast foods 3 or more times per week and wheezing and asthma among adolescents. The study subjects were 3,641 high school students. The researchers observed that unhealthy diet played a pivotal role in respiratory health among adolescents. So here's a bit of an overview. Let's look at this systematic review and meta-analysis published in the British Medical Journal Open Edition in 2019. The review covered 19 studies with a total of almost 500,000 participants, including 50,000 asthma cases. They concluded there is a clear link between the consumption of soft drinks and asthma in adults, consumption of soft drinks and asthma and wheezing in children, as well as prenatal, or in the time leading up to birth, maternal consumption of soft drinks and asthma in their children. So what about a drink many would consider to be a healthier option than highly processed drinks? and I'm talking about 100% apple juice here. This analysis of the National Children's Study, conducted in the United States and published in 2020, first points out there's been more than a doubling of childhood asthma prevalence in the years since 1980, and they found that 100% apple juice consumption in children is associated with a twofold higher asthma risk. Interestingly, they are linking the extra risk with apple juice's high fructose to glucose ratio, and also reflected that the even higher risk associated with soda, sports and fruit drinks intake is tied to the excess free fructose in high fructose corn syrup. And unsurprisingly, energy drinks aren't off the hook either. This 2021 cross-sectional study from South Korea indicates an increased risk of allergic diseases, including asthma and forms of dermatitis in adolescents. So there you have it. Every single study I found on any relationship between sugars, fast food and asthma risk observed a link. Not a single study saw no link nor any benefit. But before I finish, it's important to point out that these are mostly observational studies and can't claim causation, and yet with indications of risk increases of up to threefold, it's pretty alarming. In the health science world, we're not supposed to claim cause unless we have very strong evidence. My own experience of mostly removing refined carbohydrates for the last 10 years and the almost complete disappearance of any asthma symptoms, not to mention my halting of any preventative medications, leaves me having to acknowledge my personal bias. But I'm pretty comfortable with my own conclusion. Well, I gotta go see a man about a dog. So thank you for watching. If you found this information interesting, then please consider booping the like button or subscribing to the channel, and have a tremendous day. I'll see you in the next video.